Today we're talking about one of the coolest moves in music, going from your one chord straight to the flat six. It's the move behind this riff, and it's a lot simpler than it sounds. Grab your guitar and play an open E chord right now. That's your one chord or your home base. Now hold that shape in your hand while I explain where we're going. Hear that? That's the difference one borrowed chord makes. So I wanted to walk you through this. So let's go ahead and clear up some fog. All right, so let's take a look at the E5. We're starting on the low E. Super easy, super simple. We've got the fret 2 on the A, fret 2 on the D string, and it's called an E5. If you've played any AC/DC, you know what I'm talking about. So we've got that really cool E5. That first finger stays right there. And I'm going to use this "something in the way" melody. It's a quotation from the melody. So we're starting with down, up. It could be down, up, down, down, up. So down, up, down, down, up. And then we come back in and grab the rest of that C chord with a G in the bass. So. And you can really use any picking sequence you want. This is slow, it's slow enough so you can actually dial in what you want to hear for tone here. So we have that E5. And then we don't move that first finger. You'll notice the first finger stays right there. Fingers 2 and 3 come into fret 3 and 3 on the low E and A string. Super easy, 3, 3, 2. And then if you wanted to play a little melody, you can use the open D and then fret 3 on the A string. So we have that. You could even truncate that down to, or shorten it down to, I'm just using this as a way to make the chord even smaller. 2 notes, root and fifth, before we expand up across the position. So 0 and 2, and then 3 and 3. That way it makes it sound like we have somewhere to go when we move up to the D string. Good. Now what we're doing is we're moving to the A, the D, and the G strings, just finding a string grouping, you know, an E chord, just jamming around here. You'll notice that that E note stays the same again when I move from the E chord here to the C. So you'll have to figure out which fingers you would prefer to use. We have that E, which is typical, but if you flip these around, you can have that 2, 2, 2 on the A, D, and G strings, or the B, E, and G sharp, moving to the C, E, and open G right here, which is pretty gnarly sounding. It takes a little bit of work to get that fingering. If you've already known the E chord to be this could take a little bit of memorization, but that's okay because you'll get it. Just practice that transition 5 times and then it comes right away. You'll get it. Next, we're moving to the E, the G sharp, and the B up to string grouping number 2. We have that really cool, like, super simple movement from that E chord to the C with G in the bass. And all we're doing is we're using that 2-1 open, or E, G sharp, and B, and then to the E, G natural, and C. I don't want to get ahead of myself, so let's go ahead and move up to the top 3 strings. Let's take a look at E. So this is G sharp, B, and high E, to the C chord with G in the bass, we have the G, open G, fret 1 on the B, open high. So it's G, C, E. Ain't that pretty? Sure is. So we've got that really nice sort of really cool E to G or E to C transition, which is basically the 1 major to the flat 6 major. Now before we get out of this position, let's take a look at the parallel major and parallel minor scales this sequence comes from. We're moving from E, which is basically the tonic chord of the E major scale. So we need to know E, F sharp, G. Walk through this with me if you don't mind. A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E. Right, so we've got that really nice E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E. That's where we start and stop on the E notes. Let's take it up through the 2nd octave. E, F sharp, G sharp. Don't play the open G string, it doesn't belong here. A, open B, C sharp, D sharp, E. And then E, F sharp, G sharp. And then we can go ahead and use all of the notes in that position. This is what it sounds like if we're fluent in this scale. The next scale, though, however, is the parallel minor, and that comes from the key of G major, right? Little Red Riding Hood, yeah. Right, so it's that same walk down that you would hear in that song. So we've got the E minor now. Yes, we do. And that means we have the E, F sharp still, but the G. Everywhere there was a G, it's now flatted 3. It's no longer happy 3, it's sad 3. O, 2, 3, or E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E. The common note from the intro of the video. So then we're moving up along the lines of continuing our E relative minor. So we have E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E. And of course we can use the E, F sharp, G on the high E string as well to round things out and fully grab everything we can grab in that position. If you want to, if you insist on using a 4th finger stretch, you can go ahead and do that too if you like. If you heard that harmonic 7 drop, me a comment below. I want to hear if you're paying attention or not. So anyway, those are the 2 scales that we need. We need the E major scale and the E minor scale. And so just those 2 chords imply that we're moving between happy and sad, because this is a chord that's borrowed from E minor, right? Do you ever wonder about what parallel major and minor means? It just means that we're using the same root note and we're changing the value of the scale. Just moving from E major to E minor. It's effectively this. It's a little more sort of like stylized and advanced than that, but that's basically what's going on. If you're still sticking around, we're just going a little bit further, so let's take a look at what exactly is happening here. We have the E major to the C major, and then the E major to the C major, and then the E major again to the C major, and then the E major to the C major. And you know from previous sessions that we have we have two different scales at hand, but we're just focusing on getting around the guitar fretboard now. The 1 major to the flat 6 major. And then once again, the 1 major to the flat 6 major. That would be F sharp because we're in the key of G major. I just want to take a quick minute and share with you the E major triad and C major triad shapes with the shared common tone of E. And it's just highlighted in gold here. You can see that there's an E note here. And then on the C chord, there's still an E note. Down every shape and every position for this move in a free PDF companion. Full links in the description. First one just happened.